Hey everybody, we're going to be talking about how to create a nonprofit marketing plan. And inside of that are 5 steps for creating your organization's marketing plan. So we're going to just do a quick overview. We're going to talk about those 5 steps real quick. And as usual, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Step 1, defining your organization's marketing goals. This is a very common pitfall uh, to not have a clear and smart goal set before even initiating a campaign. Step 2, understanding the audiences that you're speaking to. You have different people in your organization that you need to speak with. So, we're talking about donors, volunteers, members of your organization. Each of those people need to be spoken to a little differently. Step 3 of 5, crafting your key message by audience. Step 4, creating a plan and then creating the marketing strategy. And then step 5, well, analyzing the marketing performance. Why did you do all of that? It's really important to see how your campaign performed and then make the appropriate changes. So let's go ahead to step 1 of 5. Step 1 of 5, um, defining the organization's marketing goals. And so at this step, this is where you want to define clear, actionable, what are called SMART goals, right? They're specific, they're measurable. You know, all of these things are really important. And the reason why I want to step back before I go through the whole SMART methodology is that it's very important that you have clear goals, because if you just say, well, we want donors to sign up, well, that's way too broad. It's not actionable. It's not time specific. It's not relevant. And so you have to have clear goals. The reason why I had a talk with an executive director just yesterday about these things, which ended up becoming a live. And so by not setting SMART goals, what you're setting yourself up for is a little disappointment and when it comes to working with marketing professionals, because you have to have a clear goal in order to be held. That vendor has to be held accountable to that goal, or your volunteers or your board have to be held accountable to that goal, which is why it's very, very important to have very specific goals. I'll give you a quick example. A specific goal would be to, we want to recruit 100 donors within the next 6 months, and have, 20 of them set up to make donations on auto pay, right? That would be a smarter or specific goal. And so it's very important that you do that. It's a great thing that you can work out with your board. You could work out with your volunteers. It's a great exercise. In fact, if you're interested in putting an Excel worksheet together to help assemble your SMART goals, I'll be happy to share that with you. I think it'll be very, very helpful in putting that together. So be very clear about your marketing goal. Don't have a very broad goal. Very, very specific. All right, step 2 of 5, understanding the audiences that you're speaking to. I take a look at a lot of posts, and the posts say, hey, we're putting on an event. It's such and such date. It costs this much to attend, and goes into a bunch of other details. You have to, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you need to be able to specifically tailor your messaging to each of the audiences that you're speaking to. So let's just go with donors, volunteers, and members. So you're not going to talk to your donors the same way you talk to your volunteers, and you're not going to talk to your volunteers the same way you talk to your members. The reasons why is because each of them has a different viewpoint. They have different things that are important to them. So you need to speak to them in a language that makes sense. So let's look at an event. Say you're doing an event in July, and you're posting on social media. Well, that's great, right? You can post on social media, but have a spreadsheet, have an Excel spreadsheet, and break out your conversations, your social posts by audience. And then that way you can ensure that you're reaching people, that you're connecting with them. It's less broad messaging, but more specific messaging. And creating audiences is said another way in the marketing arena, and those are called personas or sometimes buyer personas. And buyer personas are important because, again, you need to tailor your messaging. You need to know what they like, what they don't like, what's important to them, what's not important to them. And if you're doing that, then your social post will reach people. It will connect. It'll make sense to them. It'll be actionable. And so that's why it's very important to be clear. So inside of this step, go ahead and make a list of the different audiences that you're speaking to. Kind of like High Velocity Global, right? We speak to, we have personas. So we have Wesley, website Wesley, right? And website Wesley may come to High Velocity Global because, he wants a website, right? And so the desires of website Wesley are much different from another persona, which we would call Agency Alex, right? And so Agency Alex runs a digital agency just like we do, and that is great. I see you guys. I can't really see anything until you comment. And so if you want to comment, that would be fantastic. Then I can acknowledge who you are. But until now, I can only see the number of people here. So Agency Alex is different, right? He's different from Website Wesley because bottom line is, Website Wesley just wants a website. Agency Alex is somebody who has an agency but wants to do better. So look at that in the same context of your nonprofit marketing, right? You have David Donor, you have Victoria Volunteer. And so when you look at those different personas, different things are important to them. I've taken the time to speak with board members and consult with them in the past. And, one of the things that's important to volunteers sometimes is recognition. Not just on their resume, but people put in a lot of work to pull an event off. And one of the things that's really special to them and makes them feel great is acknowledging them on social media, posting their picture, saying, what their impact was towards the goal that the organization set back in step one. So I'd encourage you to look at those audiences. If you're interested in setting up some personas inside of your organization, again, I'm more than happy to help with that. We actually have not PowerPoint, but I think a PDF document that you can go through. You can create these personas for your organization, and then you keep those posted somewhere. Or when your board is working, if you're putting together an event for your donors, then some of the questions at the table should be, well, what would David Donor think about that? Right? And so that's the power of understanding the audiences that you're speaking to. And I want to encourage you guys to just let me know if you have questions or comments. Feel free to join the conversation. Step 3 of 5, crafting your key message by audience. So now that you're clear on the audiences that you're speaking to, this is a time where, as I said earlier, go ahead and dig out a PowerPoint, create a new PowerPoint, create tabs for each of your audiences, and inside of that document, you can then write out social posts that are relevant to each of those audiences or personas that you created. And as you're doing this process with your board or your volunteers or your staff, right, this is where you would, in that conversation, you would say, would this post resonate with David Donor? And by doing that and running that by the rest of your team, you'll be able to see how you can bring more of your online conversations into context. And that's something we do internally. We look at it and we say, hey, would Website Wesley like this deal? Would Website Wesley buy this deal? And so you would want to do the same thing. If you're doing something for David Donor, hey, this is, when you make your donation, your money's going to go towards this. We're going to recognize you for making the donations. And you could even circle back and ask for a recurring, donation quarterly, annually, semi-annually. So think about that messaging and how really it's simple just to put yourself in the place of the person that you're speaking with and being honest with yourself to say, would this messaging really resonate with them? Next, step 4 or 5. Choose your plan and create your marketing strategies. Sorry, I've got some allergies today. So, choosing your plan. This is where it's fun. So if we step back a little bit, right? We've created a clear defined, smart goal for the organization. We've developed some personas, some people that we're going to talk to in the organization. Um, we're going to craft the messages specifically for those people. And now here comes the plan. I notice some organizations will put the plan ahead of everything else, and start doing marketing. And that's fine, but without that collaboration, it's definitely not going to be as effective. So choosing that plan and creating the marketing strategy is simple. How are you going to do that? Is it going to be email? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be SMS messaging? So all of those marketing tactics should be identified way ahead of time. And so in this stage, you're doing that and you're selecting, okay, we're going to do some social media, some video, and some email. Let's do that. Social media, video, and email. So when you take those three marketing tactics to your team and you're sitting at the boardroom table and you're saying, okay, we decided to do social media. Great. Dive deeper than that and say, okay, great. Which platform specifically are we going to be operating on? Is it going to be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube? Great. Let's start tailoring our plan and our strategies to that. If you're going to do video, well, what kind of video? Is it going to be live video? Is it going to be pre-recorded video? Do you need to hire someone to help you shoot and edit and produce these videos? All of those things there. So social media, video, and email. And email, what kind of emails are we sending? What are they going to look like? What are we saying in these emails? What is the frequency of these emails that we're sending out? And so by creating this plan and really nailing down the marketing strategies, it leaves less room for it to be broad or vague. Or when you bring in a volunteer and you sit them down and you say, well, just do our social media. Well, just because the kid grew up in the age of the rise of social media doesn't necessarily mean that they know how to strategize properly. So that is important. And so you're at this point at step 4, you're going to take everything that you have there and you're going to say, okay, social media, video, email, get that into some Excel spreadsheets. We're going to send out the first email on such and such date and at a certain time. And then after they get the first email, we're going to send the second. And then we're going to send the third. Even after the event is over, we're going to send a thank you email. After 2 days after that, we're going to send another email, another subsequent email asking for yet another donation. And so when you have all of this planned out, it just makes it easy for you to fill in the blanks. Some of my best clients, my favorite clients to work with, that's how we operate. Is I will put things into an Excel spreadsheet, I will put things into a Google Doc, and then we fill in the blanks. And by providing that structure, not only will it make it easier for your staff members, your board, your volunteers to contribute in a more positive and effective way, but it just after a while becomes a part of the culture, and then you see success. So step five, and the final step is analyzing your marketing performance. This is another step that needs a lot of attention. And so after your event is over, this is where your board, your staff, your volunteers, you all sit down and you look at these statistics and you say, okay, well, this email brought us X amount of dollars. We're definitely going to use this again when we do our event next year. We sent out a couple emails earlier prior to the event. Those didn't do so well. We had a low open rate. So you analyze that and you look at it and say, well, if it had a low open rate, when we do this again next year, what we're going to do is we're going to change the subject line. A more advanced marketing professional would actually do a split test if you had enough people on your email list to do that. And generally, if you have about 1,000 people or so, split testing is an excellent way to test the marketing performance. So we decided back in our example, right, that we're going to do social media, video, and we're going to do email. So social media makes it really easy. You can log into Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you can look to see how each of your posts has performed. Did people engage with the posts? Did you just get a couple likes and shares? that people truly engage and start asking questions and joining and initiating conversations. Make notes of those posts that are really resonating with people. The same thing can go for video. Video, certain platforms like Wistia, YouTube, Vimeo, you can go in and you can look at the video analytics and you can actually see the performance of your video. And that's very important. One cool trick that we like to look at when we're analyzing videos is we're looking for the drop off. And so when we see the drop off in the video, you should know that one of two things has happened. Either one, you said something really weird and you lost them, or you said something at that point which caused them to take action. And so by taking a really deep look and analyzing marketing performance, then you can see, okay, well, if this person dropped off at these points in the video, let's see if this person made a donation. If they did, you said the right thing. If you look and they didn't, you didn't say the right thing. So that the right thing to do before you do your event the subsequent year is to maybe rewrite that video or rephrase what you said at that point so you don't have that drop off in the video. And so these are really the key indicators. So the social, video, and email, same thing. If you have a low open rate in your email, that means that your subject line wasn't effective. They didn't find that it was important enough to open your email. So make notes of those emails that weren't open. And the ones that were open, if those have a low click rate or low click-through rate, then the problem is the body copy. Email marketing isn't rocket science. You can get deep in the analytics of it, but it's simple things. If people didn't open the email, try another subject line. And if you really go back to step 4, choosing a plan, creating a strategy, or even step 3 of crafting your message by audience, you could then take a look at that subject line and say, is this subject line something that donor David would click on, that he would open, right? And so this is how you can create a solid and effective nonprofit marketing plan. And these are the 5 key steps to really getting you started. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm just going to do a quick recap. And in this recap, we're going to talk about these 5 steps we've been talking about for the past almost 20 minutes or so. And so in step 1, we talked about defining your organization's marketing goals, not just broad goals. Don't say we want to raise $20,000. Well, yeah, we know that. But, $20,000 specifically from donors, you want to be able to do that within the next 3 months, right? And so by doing that, you're very, very specific about doing that. And remember, if you need help with the SMART goals, I'll be happy to share the worksheet that I put together to help you put together a solid goal. In step 2, we talked about understanding the audiences that you're speaking to. So in step 2, we became very clear in who we were speaking to. Instead of sending broad messages and letters and emails, and now we're being very specific in who we're talking to. In fact, at this stage, this is where we develop personas inside of our organization so that we know we're talking to David Donor and Victoria Volunteer and Mark Member. And so by giving these people names, and I like to take it to the next level, actually. I like to go to Google Images, type in the name Mark, and then go find a picture that looks like this guy's definitely a Mark, right? And print it out, put it up, write member Mark on it, and then as your organization is building out things for specific audiences internally, then, we would say, well, what would member Mark say about that? And so step 3, we talked about crafting your key messages by audience. And now that you've established those audiences in step 2, you have to be clear that, every message, every tweet, every Facebook post, every email that you're sending out is written and evaluated and you make sure that each audience will receive that clearly. Step 4, choosing a plan and creating the marketing strategies. So choosing the plan. The plan is we are going to go online. We're going to create a Facebook event, or we're going to create one through our Eventbrite, which will put it on Facebook automatically. They started partnering a few years back. And that's going to be our plan. But then we're going to, once we have that event set up, and we have that embedded in our website, we're going to start driving traffic to those places so that people can register for the event. So now that you have that plan and you say, okay, well, our event is going to be in July, it's going to be on the 5th at 3 p.m., now you can start focusing on those marketing strategies and say, all right, great, guys, we agreed that we were going to do social media, email, and video. And so inside of each of those, in your Excel document, is where you start to craft all of the messages, and do it by date. Okay, so if you know your event is July 5th at 3 p.m., go into your Excel spreadsheet and go ahead and type those dates and those times out of when these posts are going to go out. And it should be fluid when you read it. When you fluid, it should make sense. If someone else was seeing these posts in sequence, it would drive them to take action. And then step 5, analyzing your marketing performance. Just because the event is over doesn't mean the job is done when it comes to marketing. You should always, I'll say it again for the benefit of the people in the back of the room, you should always, always analyze your marketing performance. You know, how many contacts did you get in your CRM database when you ran this campaign? How many of those people were donors? You know, how many people attended the event? How many people didn't attend the event, right? Because there are opportunities that lie there. So not only in analyzing, but I want to throw this little pro tip in there too. I mean, I always follow up with the people who didn't show up, and I give them an opportunity to go back and watch my webinars and ensure that they can see what they missed. And hopefully the next year they won't miss it, based on either, it could have been based on they just didn't want to go, or they couldn't get out of work. So make sure when you analyze all of that, also take a look at it and see, do we have any opportunities to follow up again with the attendees, with the non-attendees, with the donors, with the volunteers. And I can guarantee you, if you look deep enough, there are plenty of opportunities to follow up post-event. And so I really hope that a lot of this was helpful to you guys. I took quite a bit of time putting this together. I've had the benefit of working with my dad's nonprofit for many years now, helping in a marketing capacity, program management capacity. And so I felt this would be a great tip. I was online and I was looking at some events, and I was thinking to myself, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. So that inspired me to put this video together so that you could better understand exactly how to pull off an effective nonprofit marketing plan. All right, so thanks a lot so much for your time and attending, for your attention, and I'd really love to hear the benefits of really what comes from all of this when you start putting together everything. So if you need some help in creating a marketing plan, as I've said numerous times through this video, I have resources that are available. Your SMART goal worksheet, a persona sheet, and then also some documents really just to help you plan out the social parts of it. So feel free to give us a call. I've got some great people on my team. I've got some great partners that we work with that can help you create an effective marketing plan for your organization. Just give us a call. It's 713-568-8134. 713-568-8134. And we will definitely get you scheduled for a session where we can sit down, and what we'll do is we'll do an audit, or we'll help talk through the marketing plan that you have in place or that you're planning on putting in place, and then we'll give you a few tips there to help you get this thing launched. And if you need help putting it together, we'll be happy to do that for you too. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.